This is 911. Do you have an emergency?
Today on Rescue 911, accidental terror. A peaceful camping trip takes a deadly turn.
It was like the worst possible nightmare.
Rescuers take to the air.
There's no way he could live.
To locate a wounded hiker. Then, a driver's car won't start. And when he looks under the hood, he gets the shock of his life.
Holy cow, get away from the car. That's an alligator or a crocodile. Oh, I think we have a little problem.
On Rescue 911.
For years, Robert Kelly and his younger brother Brendan had gotten together with a few close friends for an annual backpacking trip. But on April 18th of 1992, while camping in the mountains north of Yosemite, they found themselves in a deadly situation none of them had planned for.
The remote locations that we go, there is nothing. You're in God's country, and there are no telephones, no cars, no roads. Everything is Mother Nature.
Right here.
Eric and Joe said they were going to see if they could go scout out a nice place to fish. We decided we were going to do some firing.
Just fish.
It's a great bunch of guys. I can trust each and every one of them with my life.
I'll catch up with you guys later.
Nick Mosley and the others soon joined 19-year-old Brendan, who was shooting target practice.
Rob shot a few rounds. I walked up and he stepped back and saw his log sitting in the water, sighted in on it. It was really loud. After I pulled back the hammer again, Tyler goes, "You want some earplugs?" And I thought about it for a second. And I said, "No," like that. And I go, "Yeah, good idea." And I dropped the gun straight down, straight pointing to the ground. I took a couple steps, turned, and reached like this. I saw the earplugs right in my hand. I looked down, I saw the hammer was back, and it slipped out from my thumb.
I couldn't believe it. Nick's gun is still smoking. I looked at my brother, and then about a 2 foot long gusher of flesh and blood just started spurting out of my brother's body.
When we continue,
Shot!
It was registering in my head. This was a .357 Magnum hollow point that he had been hit with. He's dead. There's no way he could live.
Ben's been shot!
I had taken my right hand, put it over the bullet wound to stop the bleeding. He was losing a lot of blood, it was registering in my head. This was a .357 Magnum hollow point with hot loads that he had been hit with. He's dead. There's no way he could live. There was so much blood coming out that my hand slipped off of the wound momentarily, and I could hear the air escaping out because the lungs had been punctured. At that point, I looked up at Todd and I said, "Keep my brother alive. I've got to go for a medevac. I'm going for help. Keep my brother alive."
It was like the worst possible nightmare. I couldn't deal with the stress of being there at the site. I just couldn't handle it.
You'll be all right. Just take it easy. Take it easy.
two of the young men rushed over with a first aid kit from their camp.
You go get help? He took off. He just took off. Okay, I'm gonna go after him. There's water right there. Okay.
We had to get this pressure dressing on him. I just couldn't release my hand, you know, blood's gonna go everywhere. So Eric slid it under my hand and while I was holding it. He tied it off and then he added a second one. I was putting a lot of pressure on him and I was hurting him, but we had to stop that blood.
I knew there was a payphone about 3.5 miles away, and that was my goal. You know, and I'm not running fast enough. Run faster, faster, faster. And I was pushing myself, and I was alternating the Our Fathers and Hail Marys very fast, hoping that maybe the praying would help my brother keep him alive long enough for me to reach that phone.
911 emergency.
Hi, I'm
calling from Pinecrest, California. My brother's been shot in the back.
What is your address?
We're by the Pinecrest Lake up the Valley Gorge at Lower Cleos. I need a medevac copter, ma'am.
All right.
My brother's dying. Bleeding to death.
What type of gun was he shot with?
He was shot with a .357 Magnum, almost point blank.
Members of the Pinecrest Volunteer Fire Department were sent to the scene. A Mediflight helicopter was also dispatched from more than 50 miles away, along with a search and rescue helicopter.
We waited and we waited. We assured Ben, you know, Ben, you're going to be okay. That's the only thing we could do.
By the time the first rescuers arrived, including EMT Marty Rosenbaum, more than an hour had passed.
When we reached the victim, I saw that he had held on with his friends helping him.
Just hang in there, Ben. You're all right.
I felt right in the middle of his belly, the whole outline of the bullet. That meant his chest had been violated and also his belly, meaning that he would be having an increasing difficulty breathing, and we were looking at very heavy internal bleeding.
Man, thumbs up. Keep talking to us, guy. I want to hear from you.
The 19-year-old victim had to be carried a mile through rough terrain to the nearest place where the search and rescue helicopter could land safely. There, his condition was assessed by Dr. Don Dudley.
We needed to transport him as quickly as possible. He was in a lot of pain. He had no breath sounds on the right side. He appeared to be in early shock. We know he's bleeding severely in his chest. I know he's bleeding in his belly. Somebody like that can bleed out and die on you very quickly.
While rescuers prepared to take Brendan to the air ambulance waiting a few miles away, his brother Robert returned to the scene.
They wouldn't let me up towards the helicopter because they were getting ready to take off and they didn't want me in the way. But the feeling of hopelessness, helplessness, you know, when you're sitting there and you know that's your brother, your blood that's sitting up there dying, that could have been the last moments that I'd ever seen my brother.
Brendan was flown to Modesto Memorial Hospital. While the trauma team worked to stabilize Brendan, his parents, John and Elizabeth Kelly, rushed to be by his side.
I was in denial all the way up to the hospital. This can't happen. He can't die. He won't die.
I was extremely concerned as to the amount of damage. Those hollow point bullets, they just go in and they spread and they just bounce everywhere.
Surgeon Tony Tam examined Brendan's x-rays to determine the extent of his injuries.
After traveling through the chest and through the diaphragm, the bullet had destroyed the top pole of the spleen, following which it went through the stomach twice. So there were 2 holes inside the stomach. Then it went through the left lobe of the liver and took out a chunk of the liver, and then rested inside the abdominal wall.
There's a bullet and here's a fragment.
And I took Nick into Brendan's bedside, and Brendan just put his hand up and grabbed Nick's hand. He said, "I love you, man." It was real hard for Nick to speak. He was wearing Brendan's hat. He took the hat off his head and put it on Brendan's head, and he said, "Here's your lucky hat."
When I went in to go see him, I grabbed his hand, and he looked straight at me, and he told me, you know, "You're my favorite big brother. You saved my ass."
Amazingly, Brendan Kelly has almost completely recovered from his injuries. He now spends time speaking to young people about gun safety.
People don't understand how powerful guns are, how much damage it can do. That one bullet couldn't cost more than 50 cents, but, you know, hospital bills are well over $60,000 already. Even past that, you know, it could have cost me my life.
I've shot many different weapons. Doesn't matter how many times you shot a gun. Doesn't matter how experienced you are. Doesn't mean nothing. You can flush all that stuff down the toilet. It takes a moment of breaking concentration, and boom.
once that gun kicks and that bullet's down the barrel and going towards whatever it's going to hit, you can't take it back. I mean, if I could take back time, I'd take back, you know, the bullet that went into my brother, but we can't do that. And all we can do is just thank the Lord above that, you know, my brother's alive, and that this story has a happy ending.
Next.
They said somebody's playing a practical joke on you. Maybe it's an inflatable alligator. Why don't you try poking it? Maybe it'll pop.
We do.
When Chris Hernandez and his wife Maria bought their home in the suburbs of Miami, Florida, they thought they had found the perfect place to raise a family. But they began to have doubts when some strange and inexplicable things started happening on the afternoon of July 5th, 1992.
Should be fun. It was pretty scary for me being pregnant and all. I mean, when my daughter gets older, I can show her the pictures to say, look, a month before you were born, all this happened and you were oblivious to all of it because you were inside my tummy.
Maria and Chris were on their way to a friend's birthday party that afternoon.
The steering column's jammed.
Well, what do you mean it's jammed?
It won't let me turn. I could not move it. And also my alternator light came on. So because we were in a bit of a hurry and it was already getting a little bit late, we had to park the car back in the driveway and take the other car.
About 7 o'clock that evening, we got back home. My husband popped open the hood and he started to poke around to see what was wrong with the car.
I noticed on the right side of the engine what appeared to be a tail. And I thought, oh my God, I got a snake in my car.
Where?
Right there. Right
oh
there.
my God.
Let me see if it's alive.
Be careful.
Oh my God, it moved.
What do we do?
I wasn't as mobile as I usually am, and I didn't know if the fear of this thing would make me go into premature labor.
What do you see?
There's a big tail down here, Marty. I can't make anything else out. Holy cow, get away from the car. There's a claw there. This is an alligator or a crocodile.
Get this thing out of here now. Now, right now.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to report an emergency, sort of.
We call Metro Day non-emergency number. They said somebody's playing a practical joke on you. Maybe it's an inflatable alligator. Why don't you try poking it? Maybe it'll pop.
Okay, give me the number.
Who are you gonna call?
She gave me a couple of phone numbers to some wildlife, game, rescue, etc.
But it was Sunday, and no one answered. In desperation, Chris called his best friend Tim Lanham, a 911 supervisor.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, Marty. Hey, thanks for coming out, man.
What's going on?
Look at that. You see it?
Knowing Chris, I'm thinking, you know, like, I wonder what it is, really.
I think we have a little problem here, guys.
As soon as he realized the scale of the problem, Tim called the Florida Game and Freshwater Fish Commission. Officer John Esslinger was sent to the scene.
John Esslinger, Florida Game and Fish Commission.
Thanks for coming out. Check it out.
It looks like a gator or something, doesn't it?
No, it's no gator.
You sure?
What do you think? What do you think it is?
I believe it's a big lizard. Is it alive?
Yeah.
Look.
Just by the size of the animal, I could tell that it probably had potential to be dangerous.
You're gonna take it with you, right?
So once I figured out where the head was, I just stayed away from the head. Holy mackerel, he's a big boy. Yeah. He's about 4 or 6 feet long.
You think so?
Boy, he's up. Oh, he's frisky, all right. He's moving around up there. Chris, how do you feel about taking apart your car?
There was a fear that he wasn't trapped, that he was there by his own will.
Okay, he's strong. Yep. He's been eating his Wheaties.
I didn't know if it was angry or what.
He's holding on tight.
Yeah, he's grabbing on again. He's...
Oh.
What's the car, Tim?
Yeah, he's expanding on us. He doesn't want to come out either way. Looks like he's found himself a new home.
Chris and I said, you're not going anywhere until you find somebody that can get rid of this lizard for us.
pesky critters.
Todd Hardwick runs a company that specializes in nuisance wildlife control.
In an engine?
We had a feeling that it would be a monitor lizard, which makes me a little uneasy because monitors can be capable of inflicting an extremely nasty bite. How you doing,
Hey,
John?
Todd. Appreciate you coming.
There? Hey.
There you go.
Wow, look at that.
Wow, he's big.
He's something else.
It's an Asian water monitor, every bit of 6 feet. I was thinking that possibly when the engine started, the fan belts, which were now dislodged, had propelled him up into this position. And there was no way in the world that he was going to come out of this compartment alive. Watch that tail when you're down there with your eyes.
Todd's associate, Jill Voigt, was hoping for a better outcome.
All I wanted to do was save this lizard and bring it home with me. That's what I wanted. I wanted the lizard. I didn't really want to be near it, and yet I didn't want to miss the show either. My neighbors came out, they brought their beach chairs, and they said we wanted some beer. They would bring out the cooler with the beers and everything.
Thanks a lot. Okay, here comes the soap, Jill.
Well, at least it's gonna be a clean lizard.
Watch the head.
Yeah, okay, I got his 2 back feet now.
Okay.
He's really wound up in there.
Okay, I want to see him react, Jill. Give him a little bit of steady
pulling.
pressure.
I am pulling. He's
Okay,
stuck.
okay, hold up, Jill. This isn't going to work like this.
So basically, after 20 minutes, we had a slimy trapped lizard. To them, it was like a challenge. It was like, okay, dishwashing liquid doesn't work. We're going to get this sucker one way or another.
He should start to react to the cold, and hopefully he'll slide right down into your lap. Be ready.
My father had told me, why don't you just kill it? Cut it up, and in 5 minutes, I'll wash it out, and it'll be gone, and I'll have my car back. But I really felt bad for the animal.
I would have stayed there all night long trying to get the lizard out unharmed and alive. If I had to hire a mechanic to come and take the car apart and help me, I would do that.
Around 10:30 p.m., Todd called a veterinarian who recommended a tranquilizer to relax the lizard.
Oh, he doesn't like that.
Nope. Oh, man.
There is considerable risk there. The animal could stop breathing, the heart could stop, and in a situation like he was, we would not be able to do much for him.
He looks pretty tranquilized now.
He all of a sudden relaxed, and his arms and claws and legs were not hugging the engine anymore, but he was wedged in there by this bar.
If you can just get that loose, we're going to have a lizard out of here.
You can have it. I don't want it.
Jill,
Everybody looked around, and everybody wound up looking at me. They're my tools. I guess I'm going to have to go under there and do it.
watch that tail, okay?
Oh, believe me, I am.
Jill, be ready to get under here.
Don't hesitate.
She's right here.
Don't let the engine fall on you now.
Jill, go, get under there now. He rolled out from under that car faster than I've ever seen anybody move. And Jill was moving faster to get under the car.
It's coming out of there, Jill. Be careful.
There you go, lizard sliding down.
Okay, I got the head. I got the head.
Watch the mouth.
He's coming. I'm pulling. Lizard's coming out. He's coming out. Oh, I got him. We have a lizard. I got him. I got him.
It looked like her long-lost pet puppy or something.
Look at him.
It was like, at last, I've got my hands on you.
What do you think, Todd?
Oh,
6 feet?
man, he looks okay. Does he look hurt?
25 pounds.
He look hurt?
He looks all right. He's got a little blister
It's
on the
hard to
chest
tell.
here, but he looks
He's
pretty
still
good.
tranquilized. Look, just like a little
That big
dinosaur.
claw, y'all.
All I kept thinking was, he's a lucky guy, because I could have driven away further and really hurt him.
We didn't bring a big enough cage to put this lizard in. And I said, well, Todd, since he's tranquilized, let's just take him in the cab with us. He can sit on my lap. And the lizard rode home in my lap, all the way with Todd looking at him like this. Lizard's not waking up, is he? Lizard's not waking up.
See you later.
The Asian water monitor, presumed to be an escaped pet, was treated for minor burns and a lacerated tongue. When no former owner showed up to claim him, Todd and Jill were able to give him a good home.
Here. He's a lot happier now than when he was in that engine. He's even got his own.
We get a phone call from Gecko Films. They want this lizard to be their mascot. Says this lizard deserves to live the life of luxury.
Dubbed Gordon Gecko, he's now under contract to the film company.
He's living presently in a big cage, complete with a waterfall, its own bathing pond, luxurious plants, and a food budget that surpasses mine.
The past year or so, we're seeing an increase in conflicts with exotic animals and people. And it may be that we're starting to build into areas where these exotic animals have been living for years, unapproached and unmolested. We've had people say, I'm afraid to check my oil now. I don't want to pop the hood on my car. What if I find one of those things?
I think he knows who I am. He tried to steal my car.
That's right. I like Gordon, and I'm glad he's fine. And it was fun and adventuresome at the same time, but I don't ever want it to happen again. Not my car, anyway.
Mr. Shapiro, step out of the car, please.